Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the brand new Micro Galaxy Squadron Battle of Coruscant set that is a Target exclusive. You can see right up there on the box it has that only at Target sticker. This thing is just starting to hit store shelves. It's been spotted a few times over the past week, so if you want to go ahead and pick one up, start checking out some Targets near you. This thing is going to cost you $50, so let's see if everything in this set is worth that price. Before we go ahead and open the set, I do want to first start out looking at the box and the set still in the box. This is a set that a lot of people I think are going to want to keep sealed because we do have individual releases of these different vehicles, and as a box set this looks really good. It's got some really nice artwork of the Battle over Coruscant on the side. If we turn it around to the back, we can see it goes over some of the features that we're going to have in this set, including the different sets of legs with the vulture droids and the fact that you can open up the wings on the different Jedi interceptors. Now taking a look at the figures, we can see the set comes with 6 different figures, both Jedi that you can use for the interceptors, 2 different battle droids, and 2 astromechs to go with the Jedi interceptors as well. Taking a close-up look at each of these, we can see the Anakin and Obi-Wan are reused from the individual interceptor releases. The Anakin is okay, but the Obi-Wan does use that incorrect Episode 2 sculpt. You really need to get on to making an Episode 3 sculpt because this is now multiple times where we've gotten the wrong Obi-Wan. The battle droids look okay. They have yellow paint, and I think it's the first time we've gotten droids with that paint. The R2 and R4 droids look pretty nice. The R2 droid has some special paint, so we'll take a look at that in a moment. Before we look at the ships, let's take a look at the background here that you can separate from the box. It kind of depicts a battle over Coruscant, not really the battle over Coruscant. We don't have any of the capital ships from the battle. Instead, we get a few vulture droids, which look good, and also Grievous's starfighter, which wasn't present at the Battle of Coruscant as far as I can tell. It is a ship you can get as a chase in Series 3, so I get why they showed it, but it would have been nice to have something a little more accurate to the battle this pack represents. I was greeted with a little bit of a surprise when I opened the vehicles out of the box because I didn't expect there to be anything hidden underneath the box, but you can see there are these other parts. At first I thought they were 2 additional vulture droids, but actually they're just the different sets of legs that you can use to attach onto them. We'll look at what that feature looks like later. Let's first look at the 2 Jedi interceptors that you get with this set, Obi-Wan and Anakin's. These are, again, reissues of the individual releases of these that we've seen with the same paint and sculpt. Looking up close at this Anakin and R2 figure, you can see the Anakin looks pretty nice. He's got the black glove over his robot arm, and the R2 figure is nice as well. It does actually have individually painted panels on the top of its head, which we don't see on the individual release. I've talked about how the figure for Obi-Wan is the incorrect Episode 2 sculpt, so that sucks to see. You can see the R4 astromech looks decent, but it doesn't have the detailed paint on the top of the head that we can see with the R2 figure. It's pretty easy to go ahead and get the figures inside of the interceptors. All you have to do is pop open the cockpit, and then you have the seating area that you can just slide the figure right on into. With Anakin's, you can go ahead and pop in R2 as well over on the side. You can go ahead and do the same exact thing with Obi-Wan's starfighter to get Obi-Wan and R4 into their correct place. When the individual releases of these ships first came out, some people took issue with just how much the astromechs stuck out of their ports, and you can see they do stick out pretty far. It isn't entirely accurate to how you see them on screen, but it is kind of excusable. At this scale, it would be really hard to actually get them to slide all the way in there, and on the actual models they filmed with, I'm not sure that the droids would actually fit all the way in, so this is a decent compromise for this scale. Looking in through the cockpit, we can see that Obi-Wan stands out pretty nicely in there. The cockpit glass is a little bit frosted, so you don't get 100% transparency there. That looks pretty nice because you can actually tell that there's supposed to be some glass there. Anakin looks just as good inside of his interceptor here as you can see through the cockpit. The interceptors have a landing gear system that works pretty well at having them rest on the floor. You can go ahead and just flip up or down on the different landing gear to slide them in or out of their slots. Once you have them in or out, you can go ahead and set them down. The interceptor also has the wings that can go ahead and fold out on the sides. So to put it in flight mode, we're going to first start by closing the landing gear. Then we'll go ahead and open up all 4 of the wings. Each of them has a little slot that you can slide your fingernail underneath to open up. Once you've opened them up, you can swish it around and you can even set it down and balance the ship on those panels. And it's a good thing that these ships are able to balance on those wings because the set doesn't include any flight stands for them. So if you want to have them looking like they're actually flying, you're going to have to invest in custom stands or get the stands that came with that one X-Wing and TIE Fighter set, but this set doesn't include any. When you have the wings opened up, I do really like how these two ships look next to each other. They look straight out of the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith, flying side by side. I just wish that we had those flight stands so they could actually look like they're flying. Before we move on to the Vulture droid, I do want to show you guys a comparison to the individual release. On the outside, we have Obi-Wan's fighter from this set. On the inside, we have the individual release, and you can see that Obi-Wan's fighter in this set looks a little bit more weathered than the individual release. With Anakin, the biggest difference is going to be that R2 figure. You can see that the panels on the new one are individually painted, and I actually think the weathering on the individual release looks a little bit more detailed, unlike the case with Obi-Wan's ship. Now let's take a look at the brand new vehicles included in this set, the two Vulture droids. These are getting an individual release in the Episode 1 color scheme, but this has the CIS color scheme from Episode 3, and I really like how that color scheme looks. You can see the blue, almost camo or paint decal painted over the body and wings on these things, as well as some white details on there. If we move to the side of the wings, you can see the little triangle shapes that are painted in. Moving up to the head, you can see that there's actually the CIS insignia, and you can see those white triangles continue onto the body there. Overall, I really like how this paint scheme looks. I think a lot of people are going to want to get this variant over that individual release Episode 1 variant, so it's nice to see them in this battle pack. I would also like to call attention to the level of detail that the sculpt has. Just even on the inside of the wing here, you can see that they've sculpted a lot of nice greebling in. On the outside of the wing where it's smooth, you can still see some nice lines and different detailed layers throughout, and it really gives a lot of depth to a sculpt like this at a scale as small as this one. Here's a close-up look at those two battle droid figures that come included to be put into the Vulture droids. That's right, you can actually insert them in there. You can go ahead and put them in by grabbing the head of one of the Vulture droids, and those heads pop open. They actually have articulation to them. And then there's a little clip inside that head that you can snap the droid into. He'll fit in there really nice. It doesn't feel like he's going to go anywhere. He's going to stay in that clip. And then you have plenty of room to shut the head and have it lay flat so that you can have the battle droid in there. You can go ahead and do this with both of them, and then you have your droids piloting the Vultures. Now, it isn't entirely accurate for these things to have droids in them, but it is accurate for the heads to be able to separate and articulate off of the body, and you can see here that you actually get a good range of articulation on this thing. 360 degrees on the head. It's on a ball joint there, which allows for that. The neck itself also can articulate up and down on that hinge, so you can get the head closer to the body or farther away from it, depending on how you want to have this thing posed. Now, the big feature with these Vulture droids is going to be the second set of legs that you can attach to have it in the standing position instead of flight mode. You'll start by separating out the legs, which are going to be labeled L1 and R1. That's for left one and right one, so you know where to insert each of those legs. Then you can grab the new set of legs. The new one is going to be labeled left 2 and right 2, so again, you know which side to be inserting them on. You can go ahead and just start sliding those into position. They snap in and out really easily, but don't feel like they're going anywhere once you get them in. And once they're in, you can see you can balance this thing actually really easily and get it into its standing mode, and I really like how it looks in this position. Here you can see both of those Vulture droids in the standing position next to each other, and I just feel like they have so much more of a presence when you get them in this mode. I think a little bit more of the detailing of the sculpt stands out like this, because you actually have some separation of the body parts. They don't all just blend together, and they look really imposing and really cool this way. Now, if you want to have this droid in flight mode, but with the wings opened up, you can do that. You can go ahead and just pop open the first set of wings, the flight mode wings, and separate them. Then you can go ahead and reattach each of those to the body. Again, they slide in and fit in there just fine. Then you can have it post out with the wings opened, and you can swoosh it around, and I kind of prefer how this looks to the closed position of the legs. Here's a quick size comparison between the Vulture droids in their standing position and the two Jedi Interceptors, and you can see that those Vulture droids are pretty sizable once you have them standing up. So here are all 4 ships included in this set posed out together. It sucks again that you don't have flight stands to pose these things with, but all of them do balance on the ground or on a table well enough so you can replicate the pose from the box, and it looks really nice when you do it like that. There's something really nostalgic, at least for me, about seeing this set. It reminds me of that old Lego set that came with the 2 Jedi Interceptors, 2 Vulture droids, and a Tri-Droid. It's just something really nice to see. So at $50, you don't just get the 4 ships, but you also get the 6 included figures so that you can fit figures into each of these ships, and you get the extra sets of legs. When you pile up all the different included things that you get, it actually looks like a pretty significant amount of stuff. At least it looks like more than you're going to get just from looking at the outside of the box. I think this makes the value proposition feel a little bit better than it already did for me. Alright, so after looking close up at everything that comes with the set here, do I think it's worth $50? I think that's a pretty good deal. If you look at the regular price of each of these vehicles in the main line of Micro Galaxy Squadron, they're going to run you about $15 a piece. 15 times 4, that would be a $60 value here, but they're only asking you for $50. Plus they give you swappable pieces on the vulture droids for those legs, each of which you can articulate and pull out in different ways. And you get figures enough to fill up each of the 4 vehicles that are included. I think this is a really solid deal. I think it's a set that feels complete and like you can display it on your own without needing to buy any other parts to finish it. I do wish that we got those flight stands though. Flight stands are kind of the last thing that we need to be able to set this up in a really awesome way. Other than that, I think this is a great deal. If you see it at a Target near you, I think it might be a good idea to grab it.